of the Apollo 11 moonwalk. The release features 15 key moments from Neil Armstrong's and Buzz Aldrin's historic walk on the lunar surface, using what's believed to be the best available broadcast format copies of this historic event. Some of the footage had been locked away for nearly 40 years.
Everything had to go perfect for a live transmission from the moon to come down, be converted, be fed all the way to the U.S. and to Houston and sent back out. Anyone could have pulled the plug by mistake and we wouldn't have seen it.
The release is part of a comprehensive Apollo 11 moonwalk video restoration project, expected to be completed by this fall. At the Kennedy Center, Salute to Apollo, the Kennedy Legacy, included a stellar lineup of performers, including opera star Denise Graves and singers Chaka Khan and Jemiah Nash.
It is good to be here in the Kennedy Center.
Buzz Aldrin was joined by STS-125 Commander Scott Altman to introduce portions of Holst's The Planets, performed by the National Symphony Orchestra under the baton of Emile Decoud, and enhanced with spectacular images captured by NASA spacecraft and telescopes. Guest appearances were made by Lost in Space astronaut June Lockhart and Star Trek's Nichelle Nichols via videotape. To conclude, Apollo Flight Director Gene Kranz conducted the NSO and the U.S. Army Chorus in a favorite piece, Stars and Stripes Forever.
It was the kind of thing where you say, how come I've been so lucky all my life? And this was just one of the instances.
So many of the astronauts told me that watching Lost in Space when they were little made them know what they wanted to do when they grew up. And I thought that was just such a compliment. You know, I did Lassie for 6 years and nobody ever said to me, oh, when I grow up I want to be a farmer.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the following night, Air and Space hosted more than 2,000 guests at the Apollo 40th Anniversary celebratory reception, emceed by Hayden Planetarium Director
everyone.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Welcome.
The event included remarks by Neil Armstrong, Scott Altman, Administrator Charles Bolden, and former Maryland Lieutenant Governor Kathleen Kennedy Townsend, who accepted the Ambassador of Exploration Award on behalf of her uncle, the late President John F. Kennedy.
On behalf of my family, I'm very, very grateful. When they told me I would get a moon rock, I was really excited. And I was going to put it on my mantelpiece. But I was told I was not allowed to do that. So I thought, what would be the appropriate place for the moon rock to go?
In turn, Kennedy presented the award to an aerospace engineering student from Rice University, where the award and its moon rock will be permanently displayed. The evening was capped with a performance of Fly Me to the Moon by Grammy Award-winning jazz musician Diana Krall.
All I long for, all I worship and adore.
Awards. As in years past, the dedicated men and women of NASA garnered their share of kudos and awards.
NASA's Aviation Safety Program is among the winners of the prestigious Robert J. Collier Trophy. The Commercial Aviation Safety Team, CAST, an interagency consortium of which NASA is a member, was recognized by the National Aeronautics Association for its work in commercial aviation safety. Researchers at 4 NASA centers, Langley, Ames, Dryden, and Glenn, contribute to the agency's aviation safety program that develops advanced, affordable technologies to make flying safer. This is the second year in a row that a NASA team is sharing this award.
The accident rate has always been low. Aviation is a safe form of transportation, but to make it even lower, that's quite an accomplishment.
The Kepler mission was honored by 2 magazines.
Popular Science magazine dubbed the Planet Hunting Telescope with the 2009 Best of What's New Grand Award, and Popular Mechanics lauded its achievement with the 2009 Breakthrough Award.
NASA TV won 2 Emmys for Lifetime Achievement and its Apollo 11 coverage from the moon.
I can't think of a more appropriate tribute to NASA than to have this award presented tonight. And again, I thank the Academy on behalf of NASA for all of us who played a small role in making this happen. Thank you.
And 2 NASA stalwarts of science and human spaceflight received due recognition.
What a great honor. What a great privilege.
Two NASA pioneers received the highest honor the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum bestows, the Trophy for Lifetime Achievement. John Cassani and Gordon Fullerton accepted their awards at a private ceremony at the Washington, D.C. Museum. In a career spanning 5 decades at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, John Cassani served as chief engineer or project manager for deep space programs from Mariner missions to Voyager, Galileo, and Cassini. At the very genesis of robotic planetary exploration, Cassani designed spacecraft to perform tasks never before attempted. His leadership and engineering expertise advanced our knowledge of the solar system through missions that yielded increasingly detailed data and awe-inspiring imagery.
I'm proud of my accomplishments. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to lead several teams through very many difficult times.
Gordon Fullerton spent much of his 30-year Air Force career as an astronaut in the Apollo, Skylab, and Space Shuttle programs. He later served 22 more years as a flight research test pilot at the Dryden Flight Research Center. Having logged more than 380 hours in spaceflight and more than 16,000 hours of flight time in 135 different aircraft, Gordon Fullerton is recognized for helping make air travel safer.
I would submit, though, that the award that I just received is misnamed. It really should be the Lifetime Good Fortune Award. As I look back, it's been 50 years of uncommon good luck all the way.
Ambassadors of Exploration.
Astronaut Admiral Thomas K. Mattingly.
3 more veteran astronauts were honored as NASA Ambassadors of Exploration. T.K. Mattingly.
Born in Chicago and raised in Miami, Mattingly was command module pilot on Apollo 16. He'd been also designated command module pilot for the Apollo 13 mission, but was pulled from the flight 72 hours before its scheduled launch because of exposure to German measles. Mattingly also flew 2 space shuttle missions, commanding both STS-4 and STS-51C.
Al Worden accepted his moon rock in a ceremony at the Kennedy Space Center's Visitors Complex.
This rock is representative of what we did 30, 40 years ago, and hopefully it'll be an inspiration for all those in the future. And more students and more people are going to see it here than any place in the country.
Worden was command module pilot for Apollo 15. Rounding out the crew was Mission Commander Dave Scott and lunar module pilot Jim Irwin. During Apollo 15, the Michigan native conducted a 38-minute spacewalk. Aside from moonwalks, Worden's EVA remains the farthest from Earth ever conducted.
Fred Hayes of Apollo 13 fame was honored at his former elementary school.
It is my honor and pleasure to give this Ambassador of Exploration Award to Fred W. Hayes, Jr.
NASA Administrator Charlie Bolden presented Apollo 13 astronaut Fred Hayes, Jr. with NASA's Ambassador of Exploration Award during a special ceremony in Biloxi, Mississippi, Hayes' hometown. The award, a moon rock encased in lucite, is part of the 842 pounds of lunar samples collected during 6 Apollo expeditions from 1969 to 1972.
But it is his service as lunar module pilot for the Apollo 13 mission that most of us know Fred. Made famous by movies and books, the historic Apollo 13 mission was as dramatic as any Hollywood production.
Hayes said the award symbolizes the work of thousands.
When you see this rock, you see it as a symbol of the effort made by a lot of people. In fact, at the peak of the program, there were over 400,000 people on the NASA team that enabled us to enjoy the successes we had.
Hey, Houston, we've had a problem here.
Hayes was the lunar module pilot on Apollo 13. An explosion forced him and crewmates Jim Lovell and Jack Swigert to convert their lunar module Aquarius into an effective lifeboat. A dedicated support team at the Johnson Space Center in Houston helped find enough electrical power on board to ensure their survival and safe return to Earth.
Milestones. 2009 saw the loss of 2 very dear and important friends of NASA.
Houston,
Oh, jeez.
Tranquility Base here. Right. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
Ooh. Oh, boy.
Thank you. You're looking good here.
Boy.
Okay, we're going to be busy for a minute.
Legendary TV newsman